Hello, everyone. Good morning. Oh, I always get so nervous when I'm up here, so I'm just going to say that now. Hopefully, God will shake the nerves out.
So that's a let go.
Yeah. I love the intention piece. I'll say mine is my some in my recovery community have like words for the year, and my word is just being or just be. So that's kind of what my intention is for this year, and I think that's been my intention for a long, long time. So yeah, so again, I'm Tanya. I'm from New Jersey, born and raised, never left. So if you hear the accent and it's a little difficult, just bear with me. I'm going to try to talk slow. It's difficult for me to talk slow. And I do like to do a land acknowledgement that I'm on the traditional lands of the Lenape people.
What?
The traditional lands of the Lenape people. And I do have over 12 years of continuous sobriety. My sobriety date is August 5th, 2013. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I make it emotional because, that's me. That's me. But my drug of choice was alcohol. That was some people call it alcohol use disorder. In some groups, I would say I'm an alcoholic. But that brought me to my knees, and I will get there. But I'm also in recovery from anxiety, trauma, PTSD, chronic pain, people pleasing, perfectionism, and domestic violence. So there's a lot of stuff that goes in there when we get into recovery. But today you find me as an energy healer. I do a lot of energy work. I also teach meditation, and I help others on the path of recovery, which is my life purpose. But my day job, I'm an environmental consultant. I like to save the world and I actually help with the environment. So I kind of have like a dual life, if you will. Didn't say we talked about duality before. So how did I get to where I am today? So again, from New Jersey, small family in the central part of the state. Typical. My parents are still married. A younger sister. Middle class, nothing fancy, right? Had everything I needed, had food, shelter, all the basic stuff. But what I didn't have was in here. I was missing myself. And I just was not able to find myself until I entered recovery. I remember, and I don't remember my first drink. So my very first drink of alcohol was I was 4 months old in my father's arms. He's laughing in a photo, holding a bottle that had like this much beer in it. And I was told that I drank it and that I liked it. That makes sense to me. Total sense, right? Of course I like it. That I was already trying to get out of myself as a 4-month-old baby. So I like to share that because I do have photographic evidence of that. So I do know that did happen. And then growing up, like around the holidays, I would have, those little sherry glasses that are like this big. They would put a little bit of wine in there for me, like as a 2, 3, 4, right? I'm like 4 or 5 years old, drinking a little bit. I'm like, can't wait to get my drink this year, right? Like that's what I'm thinking about. I am so consumed with getting out of myself and not feeling anything at that young age. My very first memory is also one of anxiety. My very first memory is me being at our old house. I'm 4 years old. And I'm so anxious that we're not going to move because the moving truck isn't coming. And what are we going to do? And that's my very first memory. So I'm an anxious little child who just wants to not feel anything. So that is a perfect recipe for someone taking to addiction. So as I grew up, I was horribly bullied in school. Now it's, now you can actually get help for it. But back in the mid 90s, when I was young, you were getting picked on, just, suck it up, whatever, you'll be fine. But as a very sensitive, still a very sensitive, highly sensitive person, it affected me greatly. Anything anybody said to me affected me greatly. And I just couldn't handle life. I just couldn't. And it was so difficult for me to just be in this world. I was an energetic mismatch to my parents, and I felt like everybody around me. I still feel like I should have been born like either in the future or in the past. Like right now, just didn't seem to fit me. So I'm going through school, and I had an incident when I was 7. I think I was 7, where I was having a horrible time at home. I don't know what was going on, something, and I was just a mess. And we had come back to school, and we had to write an essay about our summer vacation. Now, my summer vacations consisted of being at home because we didn't do anything. We didn't go on vacation. I was at home instead of being at school. That was the difference. So I was like, what am I going to write about? And that particular summer, I don't know what was going on in the family, but I was just very like more on edge than I had ever been. And I guess when I wrote my essay, I must have flipped words around or wrote things that didn't make sense. I have no idea. So the teacher, who wasn't supposed to be my teacher, she was the sub for the year because my actual teacher was on maternity leave. So here's this woman who just graduated from college, she's probably 24 at the time, something like that. And she has us all stand in a line, and we had to go up, and she would give us the paper back and I guess tell you whatever she wanted to tell. And when it got to me, she holds the paper like this. She looks at me and she goes, "Are you stupid?" And I said, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "Are you stupid?" Now the whole class hears because she said it louder. And I said, "No." And again, this is my recollection as a 7-year-old. I do recall being like, "No." She goes, "Fix this." And again, I looked at it, and I guess and I'm not dyslexic, but I guess I must have flipped words around or something didn't make sense, right? But back then, they didn't help you with that stuff, right? I was also in speech therapy at the time because I couldn't pronounce S's and R's. You probably hear a little bit of that. So I already felt that way. But to have an authority figure say that, and now the entire class, that's what they did all the time now. Now they had more ammunition. So I became more and more isolated because I did not have any support in my life. I couldn't go run home and talk about it because my mother was in her own thing and very emotionally unavailable parents. So I just had nobody to talk to about all of this. And I felt deep shame, deep shame. I think that was the word, shame. And I should also say that I did have a spirituality in my life. My mother did take us to church every Sunday. I was raised as a Presbyterian. So I did have God in my life, but I was told I wasn't doing my faith properly either. So then, God isn't there for me because I'm not giving enough money and I'm not going to all the things and we don't do this and you don't do that. And so to me, everything I did in my life was wrong. Everything I did was wrong. Couldn't write an essay right. I couldn't do anything right. Nothing. It very rarely, and probably people did tell me I did stuff right, but I didn't hear it because I was already stuck in that shame spiral that, the traumas, the little traumas were building up as my life went on. Didn't use that word back then, right? But that's like a big word now. So I'm going through school. So back to that story. That teacher, I said to myself, I will never let anyone call me stupid ever again, ever. So what did I do? I started being perfect at everything. I had to be perfect. I had to get the A's. And by the end of that year, I showed her because she looked at the report card. I had like A++, and that started my journey of being a perfectionist, which is, if anybody knows about that, it's very difficult to be perfect, right? Very hard. So let's see. So God hates me at this point, right? I'm trying to be perfect and I'm a budding alcoholic, right? So there's all these things happening. So I get to be 12, 13 years old, and I'm hoping I'm not going to go over time. If I start to get to go over time, just let me know. Yeah. And I'm 12, 13 years old, and I'm in a really horrible place now. I have this person who is bullying me in school, saying the most horrible things to me every day because I had to sit next to this person because of alphabetical order. Couldn't get my seat moved. The worst thing he ever said to me was, I don't know why your mother would have went and had a child like you. She should have aborted you. And that's the only thing I remember because everything was just horrible that he would say to me. And this was how I started my morning every day. It was lovely. And again, nobody to help me, right? So at one point, and I don't remember which came first. My father wanted me to know what it was like to be drunk. So he decided one Sunday I was going to learn how to do that under his roof. So 2.5 bottles of wine later, I am passing out on my bed, feeling pretty happy, and my mother's screaming at my dad. But I'm as happy as a clam. And I'm like, this is great. Where has this been my whole life? So I'm 12, 13 years old. I'm like, I need more of this feeling. This is great. Because the noise in my head stopped. The hate I had for myself went away. And you all didn't exist anymore. All you people that are hurting me all the time, you were gone. It was just me and my blackout, right? And then around that time too, I did trigger warning for anybody about suicide. I did attempt to take my life. I won't get into the details. But that's when I had my first, I feel like, spiritual, I don't know what to call it, awakening, but kind of like an intervention. So as I was trying to do something, I felt, and this was like in the middle of the night, nobody was awake. I felt something pull my shoulder back and stop me. I didn't cry. Wow. Okay. And to me, I know today it was the hand of God coming down and saying, no, this is not how this ends. No, we are not, this is not how your story ends. So I said, no, I am going to make something of myself. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to do good stuff. Here we are, right? And I'm going to make something of my life. I'm not going to end it this way. So luckily, the last year of middle school, my seat got moved for homeroom. So I wasn't with that kid anymore. He was bullying me every day. So that was lovely. And then I get into high school and everything changed. My friend group decided that they didn't want to hang out with me because I didn't want to do drugs. Nobody told me that. I didn't know that. 40 people started talking to me all of a sudden. I was like, what did I do? Very, very confusing. Some other things happened too. But there were a few parties in high school where the parents weren't home and the liquor cabinets were unlocked. And I'm the one in the corner over there that took too much and you guys don't know what to do with me. You know that one person? Yeah, you probably all know that one person. I was that person in every situation. And I also got into a really, really bad relationship. When did that start? That went, when did that start? Would have been senior year of high school into my sophomore year of college, something like that. That's the domestic violence piece that I mentioned before. I didn't know how a man was supposed to treat a woman. I didn't know that those things were considered DV, had no idea. And I like to say he did everything but hit me. So use your imagination. And in that time, I discovered more so that when I drank, I didn't have to feel what he was doing to me. So I would sit there with the vodka bottle to my mouth as things were happening because his older brother would get us stuff. So I found a way. And then I get into college and my very first semester of school, I discover, wow, I can go and party whenever I want. This is cool. Not under my parents' roof. I'm living at this place, right? So I am like, I'm Dean's List, AB student, right? I'm good. And I'm now waking up in weird places. I don't know who these people are. People are high-fiving me in the hallway. I have no idea who they are. I'm like, hi, okay, sure. They're like, you can come out next week. I go, I don't know who you are, but sure. No idea what was going on. But apparently I was just consuming, I don't even know how much. And during this time in college, I did meet my husband, who we are still married today. We just celebrated 20 years of marriage in August, right? So and I have 12 years of sobriety, right? So you can figure out what he was dealing with. His parents were alcoholics, so that's interesting. So when I'm in school, and this is happening, my first semester, I was almost failing out of school. I was doing bad, and that's not me. That's not me. I'm a science major over here, I gotta get my stuff together. So I make a decision that yes, I have an issue with this, but I'm going to control it. So I'm only going to drink on Tuesdays and Thursdays from this amount of time, and then I'm going to do this. I had a whole schedule. I scheduled it. You know how exhausting it is as a perfectionist to schedule that? Like, oh, it was exhausting. So nice not to have to do that today. So I did get through school. I did graduate. I did well enough to where I could eventually get my master's degree, which I did end up doing at one point. Marry my husband after college, and 2 years into the marriage, I get the first ultimatum because he's already sick of it. He's already sick of my drinking. So he goes, "You need to get help." And I said, "Okay." And I went to a therapist. Like, I'm going to go to a therapist, right? My first therapist. She looks at me and she goes, "Well, you don't have a problem with drinking. You don't drink every day." I go, "Oh, great. A professional told me I can keep drinking. Lovely. Great." This is like 2007. So I continue to drink, continue with my schedule, with my planning, all that, which all starts to fall apart. Because I can't stand you. I hate you all, hate myself. And I want to die, but I can't actually do it in that way that you all probably are thinking of. So I continue on this path until 2013. My last drunk, as we say in some circles, was I was actually down the Jersey Shore. Actually, I was at Snooki's bar where I saw her bar stool that night, actually, so you probably know where that is, in Seaside Heights. And funny, that's where it was. And I remember I was with a group of people, new group of people, because I couldn't keep friends. Nobody wanted to be around me. Once they knew how I drank, everybody just was gone, right? So at this point, I didn't even know who the people I was with, honestly, except for like one person. And we go out that night. Of course, I'm the first one with all my drinking, all my stuff. We go out that night around 8 o'clock. Next thing I know, it's like 5, 6 in the morning. I wake up at a hospital. Had no idea how I got to this hospital. The medical staff is very scared of me. They are looking at me with a look of horror. And I guess I came out of my blackout. And they go, "Oh, okay, okay, you're here." I was strapped down to the bed because I was belligerent. I was very violent. I get violent when I drink. And I guess they had to cut my clothes off of me because I was just a mess. And everybody finally backs away. They do what they were doing. And the doctor looks at me and she goes, "You could have died." And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Your blood alcohol content was 0.330. You could have died." And I'm like, "What? Me? What?" So after she left, again, I feel the hand of God came down, and something said to me, "I brought you back for a reason." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Again, kind of like when that hand pushed me away, right? It was very similar. And then I said, "I can't do this anymore," to myself. And then I said, "Oh, those are stupid thoughts. I'm not going to pay attention to that," right? I just came out of a thing, right? I'm not going to. But that was August 4th of 2013. So my husband reluctantly came to pick me up from the hospital. He didn't want to. He was going to leave me there. He was looking for divorce lawyers. He was done. And then I started on my journey. So 6 days after that, I landed in a 12-step meeting, my very first one ever. I still go to that 12-step meeting to this day. They saved my life, and those 12 steps saved my life. I knew I was going to cry. And that's where I found my God. That's where I found people like you. That's where I found this spiritual journey I've been on for the past almost 13 years. With all the work that I do, with all the energy healing and all the stuff I help people with, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. I wouldn't be able to show up here this morning. Are you kidding me? Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, I would have been hungover like you wouldn't believe. But to be here, be sober, that's water in that bottle, I swear. And I'm so present and here with you all. So just being is so important to me. It's so important to me. And everything I've been able to accomplish in my life, I never, ever would have been able to do it if I didn't put that drink down. Never. I can look myself, I see myself in the video there, and I go, and I'm looking at myself like, I love you. You are amazing. Right. And I don't hate me today at all. And I don't hate any of you. I love all of you. Who knew? You know, I can love all of you. And I have such a beautiful relationship with, I say God very loosely. We talk about higher power and 12-step, and people talk about all kinds of different words for it. I just know that it's something bigger than me, and it's something that helps me not drink one day at a time. I know that for sure. And I know that I found that as a result of my putting down the drink, and getting in tune with all that. And now I help other people do that today. And it's so beautiful. It's such, to see someone put down a substance and then the light, it's like, it's almost like, see how it's so bright outside. It's like everything's gray. There's like this gray shade. And as the alcohol gets out of your body, it's like the shade's lifted and the green is greener and the blue is bluer. And I'm like, there's birds chirping. What? They chirp at 4 in the morning. I didn't know that. Because just all this stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, there's this beautiful world that I was missing because I was clouded with this substance. So it's just, I attribute everything in my life to my recovery. And all those things I talked about too, I never, ever would have been able to look at any of that stuff. Currently, I am working with a trauma therapist about the domestic violence stuff and a lot of other things. She's very, very good. And she is very, very in tune with how recovery works. And she loves the 12-step groups, and she loves all the things, and she loves everything I do. She's like, you're like my poster child over here of good stuff. I wish all my clients did what you do, but yeah, that's me. And I just want to help other people. So I hope this helped people. I hope I gave some sort of message to somebody. And that's all I got. Thank you.